late.
There's a specific kind of cold that lives in your chest when you realize you've been sleeping next to a stranger. Not the man you married. Not the father of your children. A stranger who learned to mime love while his heart was 3 miles across town. Tangled in sheets that didn't smell like our lavender detergent. I knew before I knew. Does that make sense? My body knew. Woke me up at 3 a.m. with that primal warning black women inherit. The one our grandmothers whispered about. Trust your spirit, baby. It never lies. But I didn't trust it. I trusted him. Trusted the 15 years. Trusted the matching Christmas pajamas and the joint bank account. And the way he still kissed my forehead on his way out the door. Even when that kiss started feeling like obligation. Like guilt pressed against my skin. She wasn't special. That's what broke me. She wasn't even extraordinary. Just available. Just there. Just willing to accept the parts of him I didn't know were missing, because he never told me he was empty. He just filled himself with her and expected me to not notice the space where his soul used to be. Before I tell you how it all unraveled, please like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my stories. Comment where you're watching from. I want to know how far this story reaches. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But see, I've been frozen for months. Now I'm thawing. And baby, when I melt, we all gonna drown. It started with the way he stopped finishing sentences around me. I was thinking we could, never mind. Maybe this weekend we should actually forget it. Like my presence interrupted his thoughts instead of completed them. Like including me in his internal world required translation. He was too tired to perform. I'd ask questions. Simple ones. How was your day? And he'd give me bones without the meat. Fine. Good. Long 3-word answers for a marriage that used to overflow with conversation. We'd stay up until 2 a.m. once, talking about everything and nothing. His dreams, my fears, whether our daughter would have his eyes or my stubbornness. Now we couldn't make it past the weather. The silence had texture. Thick. Suffocating. The kind that makes you talk louder to compensate, laugh harder at your own jokes. Fill the void with nervous energy until you realize you're performing for an empty theater. He wasn't listening. Not really. His body was in our living room, but his mind, his heart, already gone. I started noticing the phone. How he angled it away. How he'd take calls in the garage. How his face would light up at notifications, then immediately flatten when he remembered I could see him. That glow wasn't for me anymore. And the quiet multiplied. Days into weeks. Weeks into months. Until our home felt like a library where speaking was forbidden. And I was the only one desperate to scream. He started making plans without me. I'm going out with Marcus. Working late again. Jim. But Marcus called the house looking for him. His boss mentioned he left early. The gym membership renewed last month. But his body showed no evidence of use. I was married to a ghost who materialized just long enough to maintain the illusion. My girls tried. Lord knows they tried. Keisha kept inviting me to Sunday brunch. Tamika wanted me to join book club. But sitting around women whose husbands still chose them felt like pressing salt into a wound I was pretending didn't exist. So I declined. Made excuses. The baby's sick. Work's crazy. Next time, I promise. Next time never came. I started eating dinner alone. Our daughter in her room, Him stuck at the office. Me at a table set for 3 with only one person present. I'd make his plate anyway. Cover it. Leave it in the microwave. He'd come home at 11 p.m., kiss my forehead without meeting my eyes, and go straight to the shower. Always the shower. Washing her off before he climbed into bed with me. Nobody tells you how lonely marriage can be. How you can share a last name and a mortgage and still feel like you're on an island watching everyone else's boats sail past. I stopped posting us on social media. Stopped mentioning him to coworkers. Stopped saying we and started saying I. Because there was no we anymore. Just me. Alone. Waiting for him to remember I existed. I looked in the mirror one morning and didn't recognize the woman staring back. Not because I'd aged. Because I'd diminished. My edges had blurred. I'd become a watercolor version of myself. All the sharp lines dissolved into something soft, translucent, barely there. When did I stop wearing red? I used to love red. Used to walk into spaces like I owned them. Blood red lipstick and gold hoops catching light. Now I wore beige. Neutral. Inoffensive. Invisible. He used to love my fire. Called me his spicy girl. When we met. Said I challenged him, pushed him, made him better. But somewhere between the wedding and the mortgage and the monotony, my fire became inconvenient. Why you always gotta make things complicated? Can't you just let it go? You're too much sometimes. So I became less. Smaller. Quieter. Easier. I stopped cooking the foods I liked because he preferred bland. Stopped playing my music because he needed silence. Stopped sharing my dreams because he had enough going on without me adding to his plate. I pruned myself until I was bonsai, roots intact but growth stunted, shaped entirely by his preferences. My mother noticed. "Where's my baby?" she asked during a visit. "That woman there looks like you but she ain't you." I laughed it off. Told her I was just tired. But tired isn't when you lose yourself. Tired is physical. This was spiritual. This was erasure. I couldn't remember what I wanted anymore. Only what he needed. And what he needed was for me to disappear, so she could take up the space I vacated. The text came through on a Wednesday. I wasn't snooping. His phone was on the kitchen counter, lighting up while I made breakfast for our daughter. A message from Jay with a heart and a fire emoji. Last night was everything. I'm still floating. Last night. When he told me he had to work late on a presentation. When I'd fallen asleep alone again, his side of the bed cold and untouched. My hands moved on autopilot. Unlocked his phone. Same password for 12 years, our anniversary. And there it was. Months of conversations. Pictures. Videos. A whole relationship documented in pixels. I love you. You're my peace. Can't wait until I can make this official. Official. Like I was temporary. Like our marriage was a placeholder until he could upgrade. I sat on the kitchen floor. Phone in my trembling hands. And everything clicked into place. The distance. The silence. The rejection. It wasn't me. It wasn't something I'd done or failed to do. It was her. It had been her this entire time. He'd rewritten our history to justify his betrayal. Told her I was cold, demanding, impossible to please. Made me the villain in a story where I was actually the victim. She thought she was saving him. Thought she was his refuge. Didn't know she was participating in my destruction. The awareness didn't bring relief. It brought rage. The kind that starts in your toes and rises like flood water, filling every empty space inside you until you're drowning in clarity. I wasn't crazy. I was being lied to. There's a difference. I waited for him to come home that night. Sat in the living room, lights off, his phone on the coffee table like evidence at trial. He walked in at 10:47 p.m. Smiled when he saw me. Hey baby, why you up? Like I was the anomaly. Like staying up in my own house required explanation. Who's Jay? His face did this thing. This microscopic shift from casual to calculated. J? Jay who? The Jay who's floating after last night. The Jay you love. The Jay you're planning to make things official with. The silence that followed was different from the months before. This wasn't absence. This was panic. His mind scrambling for a story, a justification, a way to make this my fault. Let me explain. Don't. My voice didn't shake. It was steel. Don't insult me by explaining. Just tell me how long. Baby. How long? 8 months. 8 months. While I was planning our anniversary trip. While I was going to therapy alone trying to figure out why I felt crazy. While I was begging for scraps of his attention, he was building a whole life with someone else. He cried. Apologized. Said it didn't mean anything. That he loved me. That he'd end it. All the right words in the wrong order, too late, from the wrong mouth. I looked at this man I'd given 15 years to and felt nothing. Not love. Not hate. Nothing. That's when I knew. You don't heal from betrayal. You just decide what to do with the pieces. I found her Instagram. Looked at her life through a screen. She posted photos of brunch, sunsets, motivational quotes about self-love and worth. She didn't look evil. Didn't look like a homewrecker. She looked like a black woman trying to survive this world same as me. Comments from her girls. You deserve this happiness. Finally someone treating you right. They thought he was single. Or maybe they just didn't care. She posted a picture of flowers once. His flowers. The same ones he used to bring me until he stopped trying. Caption. When he remembers the little things. The little things. She thought those were new. Original. She didn't know they were recycled. That I'd trained him in tenderness. Taught him my favorite colors. My favorite blooms. She was reaping what I'd sown. Part of me wanted to message her. Tell her the truth. Shatter her illusion the way mine had shattered. But what would that solve? He'd just paint me as the bitter ex, the obstacle, the reason they couldn't be happy. She'd believe him because believing is easier than accepting you're complicit in someone else's destruction. She wasn't the enemy. But she wasn't innocent either. She knew he had a family. Knew our daughter existed. Knew I was real. She just decided her happiness mattered more. I couldn't hate her. But I could learn from her. She chose herself. Took what she wanted. Consequences be damned. Maybe it was time I did the same. Revenge isn't an explosion. It's a rebuild. I filed for divorce on a Thursday morning. Didn't tell anyone. Just walked into that lawyer's office and signed papers that said I valued myself more than I feared being alone. The lawyer, a black woman in her 60s, looked at me with eyes that knew. You're doing the hard part, she said. Everything else is just paperwork. I told our daughter age-appropriate truths. That sometimes people grow apart. That love is a choice and Daddy chose something else. That none of this was her fault. She cried. I held her. And I showed her that leaving is strength, not failure. My girls came back, circled around me like they'd been waiting for permission to rescue me from my isolation. Keisha brought wine. Tamika brought prayers. They didn't say, I told you so. They just held space for my healing. I started reclaiming pieces of myself. Wore red lipstick to the grocery store. Played my music loud. Cooked jollof rice the way my grandmother taught me, spicy and unapologetic. I enrolled in that writing class I'd abandoned. Started running again. Not to lose weight or look better. To feel my body as mine again. Revenge isn't about destroying him. It's about refusing to let his betrayal destroy me. It's waking up and choosing my peace over his presence. It's my daughter seeing me whole instead of hollow. It's every Black woman who's been told to be smaller, quieter, more accommodating, looking at my life and saying, not anymore. The side chick didn't ruin my marriage. He did. But me? I'm done being ruined. I'm rebuilding. And baby, this version of me is fireproof. If this felt familiar, there's more of us here. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Beyond the Scripted.